Japan has less farmable land per person than almost any developed country in the world. The terrain is mountainous, the valleys are narrow, and for centuries families had to produce meaningful amounts of food from spaces that most modern gardeners would consider too small to matter. That constraint didn't limit production, it shaped it. Over time, Japanese farmers developed a system that produces more food per square foot than most conventional gardening methods. Not through technology, not through chemicals, through design. And the difference isn't subtle, it's structural. Most Western gardens are built around separation, rows, spacing, individual plants. Japanese intensive gardening is built around integration, layering, timing, and full use of space. In this video, I'm going to break down the core principles behind this method, why each one works, and how you can apply them to your own garden to increase output without increasing size. The first principle is vertical layering. Western gardens expand outward. This system grows upward. Any crop that can climb is trained vertically. Cucumbers on bamboo frames, beans on strings, tomatoes on stakes. Even heavier crops like melons are supported with simple slings so they can grow off the ground. This does two things at once. First, it compresses the footprint. A cucumber vine that normally takes 8 to 10 square feet can be grown in less than 1. Second, it improves plant health. Fruit stays off damp soil, airflow increases, and disease pressure drops. I used to lose 2 or 3 cucumbers a week to rot from sitting on damp soil. Once they went vertical, that problem disappeared completely. But the real advantage is what happens underneath. The space below those vertical crops becomes available for something else. Greens, herbs, fast-growing crops that thrive in partial shade. That's how 1 square of soil produces 2 layers of food at the same time. When I fully committed to vertical growing, my yield per square foot increased by roughly 40% from that one change alone. It's not more effort, it's better use of space. The second principle is continuous succession without gaps. Most gardens operate in cycles with dead time in between. A crop finishes, and the bed sits empty while you decide what to plant next. In this system, that gap doesn't exist. The next crop is already growing before the current one finishes. Japanese gardeners maintain small trays of seedlings at all times, not large setups, just a few cells of the next crops ready to go. The moment a plant comes out, the replacement goes in the same day. No delay, no empty soil. That's how one bed produces 3 or even 4 full cycles in a single season. Spring greens transition into summer crops, which transition into fall plantings, which transition into winter cover or cold-tolerant crops. I adopted this by keeping a small tray of lettuce, herbs, and beans going continuously. When a space opens, something fills it immediately. That one habit added weeks of production to every bed without increasing size. The math behind this is striking. A typical Western garden produces 1 harvest per bed per season. A succession system produces 3 to 4. That is not 3 to 4 times more plants. It is 3 to 4 times more use of the same soil across the same months. The garden does not get bigger. The calendar gets fuller. The third principle is continuous soil feeding. Instead of one large compost application in spring, this method feeds the soil in small amounts throughout the season. Think of it like maintaining the system instead of front-loading it. After each harvest, a thin layer of compost goes down. Spent plant material is chopped and dropped directly onto the soil surface. Organic matter is constantly being added not in one big event, but in small, steady inputs. Over time, this changes the soil itself. It becomes darker, holds moisture better, and supports stronger biological activity, more earthworms, more microbial life, more nutrient cycling happening naturally. I switched from yearly composting to light monthly top dressing, and the difference didn't show up immediately. But by the second season, the soil stayed productive deeper into the year and supported multiple planting cycles without slowing down. The soil stopped running out of energy in August the way it used to when I was relying on one spring application to carry the entire season. The fourth principle is calculated density. This is where most people misunderstand the method. It's not about cramming plants together randomly. It's about placing them based on how they grow over time. Tall crops in the back, medium crops in the middle, fast-growing crops in the front, shallow-rooted plants next to deeper-rooted ones, fast crops that finish early next to slower crops that expand later. When done correctly, the canopy closes across the entire bed. No bare soil, no wasted sunlight. And every inch is either producing or supporting production. And because vertical growth opens airflow from below, you avoid the humidity problems that come from horizontal overcrowding. Western spacing leaves gaps that grow weeds. This system fills those gaps with food. It's not about planting more, it's about wasting less. I tested this in my own garden by planting one bed with standard Western spacing and one bed using this calculated density approach. Same crops, same soil, same water. The dense bed produced roughly 30% more food by weight from the same footprint. The Western spaced bed had bare soil visible between every plant that grew nothing but weeds. The dense bed had zero bare soil and zero weeds because the canopy covered everything. The fifth principle is the one that ties everything together: perennial integration. Most Western gardens reset every year. Everything is planted, harvested, and cleared. The system starts from zero each season. Japanese food gardens layer in permanence, fruit trees at the edges, berry bushes along fences, perennial herbs in fixed locations. These plants don't need to be replanted. They produce year after year, filling the gaps between annual crops. Herbs are ready in early spring before annuals start. Berries produce between spring greens and summer crops. Fruit extends the harvest into late season. When I added a small perennial layer, herbs, berries, a young fruit tree, the garden stopped feeling seasonal. There was always something producing, even when annual beds were transitioning. The annual crops provide volume. The perennials provide continuity. Together they turn a garden into a system instead of a cycle. And when all of these principles come together, vertical layering, continuous succession, ongoing soil feeding, calculated density, and perennial integration, the result is a garden that feels completely different. It looks fuller, but more importantly, it produces more consistently. Space is no longer the limiting factor. Time is no longer wasted between plantings. The soil improves instead of declining, and every part of the garden is doing something at all times. That's the real shift here. Not growing more by expanding outward, but by using every dimension of the space you already have, above, below, and across time. If you want to see how to apply these principles in a single raised bed, watch the 9-square-foot garden video next. It uses vertical stacking, succession planting, and companion density to produce 25 to 40 pounds of food from a space smaller than a kitchen table.